Welcome to Crazy Town's 10 Minutes or Less. I'm Jonas.
And I'm TNT Dynamite, the explosive one, starting the timer, 10 minutes.
Boom.
All right, Jonas, I want to talk about veganism.
Okay. All right. I'm in that.
So I was watching an interesting podcast, I guess, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a really intelligent guy.
Yeah, and he came up and he said something that really resonated with me. If you don't know, I was vegan for about 2.5 years. I recently fell off the wagon, and I don't even feel bad about it. It is what it is. Neil deGrasse Tyson told me...
You know what funny interest... sorry, I
Go
don't mean to
right
interrupt.
Go ahead.
I feel I feel like when you went from vegan to non-vegan, you end up eating healthier now than you were eating like when you were vegan.
Probably.
Anyway, sorry. I was like, it's interesting how people think if you're vegan or whatever.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I'll just take peanut butter and put crack on it and be like, I'm vegan.
Anyways,
but so Neil deGrasse Tyson said is that as humans we are very speciesist, like racist against species, because only certain species of animals have been deemed as something that we would eat.
Yeah, and something we protect by being a pet.
And something that we protect as being a pet. Or that delineation goes even further when we're talking about something that we consider a pest type of animal.
Oh, yeah, some of them we just cull at a whim because there are pests.
Because they're a pest. So it was like, so yeah, you can call yourself a vegan, but you're eating plants. Now, because plants as a species we've deemed as not as important as cows or chickens,
right,
who we don't deem as important as a dog or a cat.
Right.
Regardless, you're ingesting the life force of a living thing to further your own life force.
And just because we can say a cow has feelings and a personality, we don't know if a plant does. A plant could have feelings and a personality.
And that's the thing, is that we were unable to communicate with any of these things, to be honest with you. But because, you know, certain animals, if you poke me, do I not bleed? You know, then, or we get like the sound, the sharp squeal of when they're in pain or something. We know that we can reason with that, but we don't know with plants. And then it goes to the fact of like bugs, you know, like, do bugs feel anything? No, they don't have big enough brain. How do you know? They've come up with these complex colonies. And it just kind of got to me where I was thinking, like, no matter what, we are taking in the life force of something else.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if anybody's on the fence of being vegan or not. And, you know, if you want to do it for health reasons or because like you're thinking about like, yeah, it's probably, you know, the right thing to do. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm not trying to say it's like we should go out there and just start like kicking puppies. I really don't want people to go out there and start kicking puppies.
Right. No, I feel you though, because it's like mosquitoes, you know, people cull mosquitoes. And I guess maybe it comes down to, are they doing more harm than good? And that can be a device, because like mosquitoes carry disease and they can, you know, do other things. You know, if that's the case.
Yeah. I don't know PETA's stance on it, to be honest.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
We should try to get somebody on PETA on the podcast.
But I do know for a fact it's like farmers have to do a certain amount of culling those invasive species when they're getting their farms together.
Well, they'll ruin their crops.
Yeah, so whether it be like moles or groundhogs or, you know, parasitic bugs, they got to get out. They got to get them out of there to keep their crops going. So, I mean, if you're a real vegan, there's blood on the hands of that salad you're eating too, you know?
Right.
To a certain extent.
That makes sense. And I get like, I get people are like, well, the way they herd cattle into the slaughterhouses and that's inhumane, blah, blah, blah.
It is. And it is. And I agree that it is. But we can't say that for cows and not say that for dogs.
Yeah, blanketing poison on an insect colony is that's mass genocide.
So let's think of some animals that toe the line between being food and a pet. So one of those that's like a rabbit.
Yeah, chickens too, man.
Rabbits,
people keep chickens as pets.
Pigs.
Little pigs have become popular, I guess.
I would think having a little pig is adorable. Can you imagine being a farmer and being like, well, old babe has gotten to be old enough, time to cook his ass up and
I have a story about that.
Oh, do you?
So
tell
when
it,
I was
tell it.
I don't have I have a half uncle because my mom is like a half sister and it was her ex-husband, and we used to go over there in the summer and set off fireworks. He lived in the country and stuff, and he used to have pigs. They're big ass hogs, dude. I barely remember them because I was little, but I remember going to the pen and they were these big, stinky, gross, and I loved going out and watching them or whatever. And then I distinctly remember one day going over there and they were gone. And I was like, all of them.
Oh, wow.
They no longer had the hogs.
Sounds like you sold them.
And I was like, hey, what happened to the... Yeah, they butchered them. They were like, oh yeah, see that freezer out in the garage? I was just like, wow, okay.
And see, and that's where and that's not, your story is very personal to you, but it's not unique.
No, at all.
And that's the feeling that a lot of kids go through that live on farms.
Exactly. Well, yeah, people eat goats, snakes.
People keep goats and snakes.
Yeah, exactly. People eat
frogs.
that stuff. Fish. Even if you go down to like alligators, some people keep alligators and people eat alligator. Yeah. So it's
even something like fish.
Well, what are things that people keep as pets that they don't eat besides dogs and cats? And why are dogs and cats so protected compared to everything else? Other countries eat dogs and cats. Asian countries definitely eat dogs. It's not just a trope. It literally happens.
Yeah. And that's true. And I guess honestly, it's just because dog and cat ain't really good. Like if they were more delicious, I think that people would eat them more.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. The thing that really just bothers me is like those super, like, I hate it because they're my own people, but freaking vegans who are like super like, I would never hurt an animal. Bitch, you hurting animals. Stop it.
That makes sense.
You're eating plants. Well, you don't even know if that plant may be sentient or not. We don't know any more than you know if a dog is.
Well, and there's people who are like, they'll be vegetarian and but they'll still eat fish. So they don't feel bad about hurting fish. Yeah. But they feel bad about hurting chickens and stuff like that. So it's, I get it. Sometimes you can only do so much. Like, you can do your own part, and if your part you choose to help protect cows and chickens, you're doing something.
Yeah, I don't know what part I'm doing. What's the part that I'm doing?
Taking demand down one smidgen of a notch. That's it. So there's maybe one less cow that dies because you aren't eating that cow over the course of your lifetime. But that's...
I feel you, but I'm not out here trying to fight the good fight. If anything, I'm trying to just say is like, look, regardless of how you eat, you're going to be taking life energy from something else and putting it into yourself
I agree,
to extend your own life force. So show reverence for every meal that you ingest.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's relatable to this.
Thank you for these nourishing nourishments.
It's different, but it's along the same lines. Like, as far as voting in elections, if you don't want to vote, that's your right, just as anyone else's right to vote. But if you aren't voting, don't come out here complaining about the system because you're not doing your part. If you're not being full vegan or whatever, how are you going to come out and judge someone who's eating beef if you only do part? You know what I mean?
And see, I get that I understand that, but my whole thing is like, even like nobody's hands are clean.
Oh no,
when it comes to killing something that is alive, whether it be a plant, an animal, an insect, killing something that is alive to make us stronger. It is how the world works. Animals are doing it, and yes, there are inhumane ways of like keeping cows and tiny, but nobody's hands are clean. You're killing, you're eating, you're ingesting.
Yep, I have one more point, but we were out of time.
No,
so,
give your point. I want to hear it.
If you ever seen the show The Good Place, spoiler alert, the kind of what ends up happening is no one ends up in the good place because everyone has bought a shirt that a sweatshop made, or you don't know all the negative effects you have of your actions. And just because you're eating something or buy a shirt from a quote unquote good source, you don't know what the hell happened to get it there. And no one went to heaven because everyone has done things that are horrific that you don't even know about because you support.
We all fall short.
Right,
man.
exactly. So go to thecrazytown.com, subscribe to our stuff. For Jonas,
we
out.